Morning to you. There it is. These are the stories everyone's talking about. We call it the playlist.
Track 1.
Well, President Obama delivered his State of the Union speech last night. Now, saying the state of our union is growing stronger, he seemed to talk about darn near everything.
He really
touched on
did.
a lot. Let's say he talked about jobs, talked about a level playing field for American companies, said billionaires like Warren Buffett, who he just is in love with, should pay a minimum 30% tax because the government doesn't have enough money to waste, and even talked about keeping children in school by law until they were 18 years old or graduation. I might have missed the part, but I believe he promised free ice cream on Thursdays also. I'm not 100% sure, but I think it was in there somewhere.
Yeah, and that's the very reason why I didn't watch last night, guys. I'll admit it. Everything I need to know, I'm going to get in the sound bites and the summaries today because, in essence, it was a campaign speech for re-election, and frankly, I don't have an hour and a half during my evening to sit down and listen to the same stuff that I'm going to hear from now all the way till November.
Yeah, and I'm actually okay with it being a campaign speech, just kind of par for the course.
Yeah.
I just hope we take the ideas that Obama put out there and let's debate those ideas. Let's not make it about politics or Republicans and Democrats. Let's say, this idea is good, this idea is bad, here's why. But I don't know if we're mature enough to do it. Yeah,
Hold
exactly.
your breath.
Yeah.
Track 2.
Well, guys, we talked about a Texas school cutting sports because of grades.
I remember that, yeah.
Well, now there's a school in Ohio that's actually cutting the school day shorter
Cutting school.
and getting rid of lunch.
Oh,
Really?
It has nothing to do with grades. It has
That
to
was my
do
best
with
subject.
budgets.
Got an
This
A
is
in
happening
lunch.
in Garfield Heights, Ohio.
Okay.
Community there hasn't approved any kind of tax increase for schools since 1992.
All right.
So the school is saying we can't afford to keep our doors open past 5.5 hours, which means students are now leaving at 1:15,
Ouch.
forcing parents to scramble and figure out what the heck they're going to do with their kids those extra
How
hours.
come the Whitman-Hanson Regional High School District didn't do this when I was
Yeah.
in high school? Come on, man. Seriously. Look, but on a serious, it's ironic that you put this next to the State of the Union because President Obama talked about spending all this money, investing all
Billions.
this. Yet meanwhile in Ohio, they have to close school after 5.5 hours because they're out of cash.
But you see, that's where I am a little on the skeptical side, not knowing the ins and outs of the Garfield Heights, Ohio school system. I bet you if you gave me a copy of their budget and a red pen, I could find some money. They're just spending it in other areas, and they use this as the excuse to scare the parents. I'm on to your game.
Track 3.
Navy SEAL Team 6, I
Yeah.
should say. They've been busy lately.
Yeah?
And they're awesome. They did it again. They swooped in via helicopter, 3 o'clock in the morning.
Really?
In Somalia.
In
See, they had to
Somalia?
rescue 2 hostages there, 1 American, 1 Dane. Jessica Buchanan and the Dane Paul Thisted were
Yeah.
rescued. The SEALs killed 9 pirates, captured several others. This is straight up out of a movie, what these guys do. But they do it in real life. It's just badass. What else can I say?
It makes me think of before my PlayStation was stolen, playing Call of Duty. These are the types of things you have to do, the missions you have to complete,
Yeah.
except these guys don't get to hit restart and start the level over again.
Do you know how many little boys have been listening to these stories and they're going, when I grow up, I want to be a Navy SEAL.
Whack Somali pirates.
Track 4.
So we talk a lot about fixing our nation's education system, but you know who else does? Bill Gates.
Yeah.
There's a guy that should be talking about. He has an idea he thinks would be great for teacher and student improvement. He says we need to train a specialized group of teachers, okay? And he wants them to focus only on teacher reviews. He says they would basically serve as an advisory board to other teachers, and it would help them become more effective. Talk about taking something from the business world and applying it to education.
Yeah, he said, you know what, the best teachers and the worst teachers often operate in a bubble, right? And taking the best teachers out to help coach the other ones through peer review would actually really help education. And I do think it would be helpful, but it's not a silver bullet that's going to fix the problems that we have in this country with our public education system.
But what I would like to point out is that the best ideas never, ever, ever come from the government, bureaucrats, and politicians. They come from people like Bill Gates, who have innovated their entire lives. So we need to listen up.
The government would like to create an entire department
Yes,
of
to
peer
figure-
review people.
to
That's what
figure-
they would do, yeah.
Track 5.
All right, if you do not have an iPad yet, well, you're one of the only ones that don't.
There you
Yeah,
go.
I have one, you have one, Rob as well. Yeah.
Even Rob has one.
55 million iPads.
55 million.
55 million have been sold in the last 2 years. The sales are so strong that Apple CEO Tim Cook says that he thinks a day will come when the tablet market is larger than the PC market. Now, Apple announced their earnings yesterday as usual. They just beat Wall Street's expectations. They're a company that doubled their profit last year. And a lot of this was coming off of the holiday iPhone sales as well.
Oh.
I'm still curious to see Apple's long-term future simply because they don't have Steve Jobs anymore. Everything I've read about Steve Jobs, he was the innovator. He was the one that said, I want a glass screen on the iPhone, not a plastic one that gets scratched. Find it, make it happen. So not having that guy that doesn't want an on and off button on the iPod and wanting the glass screen, will that make a difference over Apple's long-term? I don't know. So far, so good for Apple, though.
I think it's amazing. And I think it's amazing what they've done. And I do think that Steve Jobs set them up to have a legacy for quite some time. And I don't disagree. I find myself using an iPad more and more. Granted, I don't have a laptop anymore, but I wasn't using it nearly as much as I had before.
Track 6.
So we hear a lot of stories about celebrities having to go to the hospital for substance
All the
abuse,
time.
right? Well,
All the
Demi
time.
Moore is the latest one.
Uh-oh, what happened?
She had to call 911. The paramedics come to her house because, well, some type of substance abuse, and they
Really?
say it's due to stress. Obviously, Moore is going through a highly publicized breakup with her husband, Ashton Kutcher. She said she's going to check herself into rehab. One of her representatives said because of the stresses in her life right now, Demi has chosen to seek professional assistance to treat her exhaustion, I love that word, and improve her overall health.
Well, listen, there's no joy in that, and there's no happiness in it. And the reality is celebrities and athletes or whatever, some of them make the same bad decisions as normal people and get addicted to or turn to the wrong things to cope with stress and pain.
Yeah, but I mean, also the public pressure that they're under as well. I mean, with her breakup of Ashton Kutcher, that kind of stress we can't even imagine. So that kind of pushes somebody who may have a little bit of a problem over the edge. So I just hope she gets the help she needs.
Well, and if you think about it, too, maybe this means that it was actually a real relationship and, it wasn't one of these fake ones.
No,
That
I
she
believe it was real.
she really loved him, and what he did to her, it really hurt.
I do believe it's real. That is the playlist. We do it at 9:30, 10:30, and 11:30. We invite you to join us for the playlist every hour.